Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Danielle and this is the first update for my Pan That Palette project for 2022. This year I am working on two different palettes, Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam and Norvina, and I will be updating my progress on those palettes each month. I will have my introduction to this project linked down below in case you've missed it. In that video, I talk about my goals for each of these palettes, and I also talk about the manner in which I will be panning each of these palettes. I am approaching each of these palettes in a little bit of a different way, so that video might help to provide a little bit of context and some background regarding my rules or my approach to panning these palettes. But assuming that you have seen that video and that we are all on the same page, let's just get on into it. First up, we have the ABH Soft Glam palette. If you remember from my intro, I did begin working on this palette at the beginning of the year, but I wasn't able to film and post my intro for this project until about midway through January. So there was already some visible progress in this palette compared to where it was at the beginning of January when I did post the intro. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what this was looking like at the beginning of the year. And here's how it is looking now. At the end of this video, there will be some side-by-side photos of this palette at the beginning of the year, and its progress throughout the year will be shown as we get there, but for now there will be the beginning of the year and how it is looking now. So if you would like to see up close the progress that I've made in this palette, keep watching to the end of the video and you'll be able to take a look at that there in those side-by-side pictures. But for now, I'm just going to hop into talking about each of these shades. So first we have Tempera. This is the shade that had seen the most progress prior to 2022, and I think I was able to make quite a bit of progress in it this month in expanding the pan. Full disclaimer, I don't do my makeup every day, so there's not going to be crazy numbers on any of the shades in this palette. But I did use this shade 8 times this month, and my goal is to hit side pan over here in February. So hopefully that will be doable for me, and we'll see what my progress looks like next month. Next up is Glistening, and if you saw my intro for this project, you'll know that I wasn't expecting to hit pan on this as quickly as I did. I actually hit pan and Glistening the first time that I used it this month, and I already had done that before filming the intro. So I had this little pan prior to like midway through the month when I filmed our intro. I only used it 3 times total this month, and I'm totally fine with not getting a high number of uses on it right now. I tend to use more golds in the summer and the fall months, so I know that I will get there eventually. I'm not too concerned about it at the moment, but if I could just continue to make, a little bit of progress, a couple of uses here and there, that's totally fine with me. Next in this palette is Orange Soda, which I know was like an iconic shade for ABH, especially, once upon a time. But it's probably my personal least favorite color in this palette. I like these colors down here, but I'm not going to be actively panning them just because of the amount of fallout. But the color of Orange Soda just isn't my personal favorite. Because of that, it can be a little bit difficult for me to try to get use on Orange Soda, so I did only use it once this month. I would like to get some more use on it though throughout the spring, so I do want to have the goal of using it 5 times this month and see if I can get started on some good usage on this. Next in this palette is the shade Rose Pink. I did actually drop this palette at some point this month, and so I lost a little bit of product from Rose Pink. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. But I did lose a more substantial kind of chunk out of bronze that when I dropped it. Rose Pink isn't exactly my favorite color in this palette, but I have found a way to use it in a way that I enjoy by basically using it as a satin, and I'll even use it in the crease that way, and I really enjoy the look of it. So I used rose pink 4 times in January, and my goal is to hit pan on this shade in February. I think it'll be really fitting for the time to be wearing a pink shadow more often. So hopefully I can hit pan. I do have a bit of a dip going, so I'm not too worried about it. I think it should be doable. Next is Sultry. I used this shade only twice this month, but I'm not too concerned about it because this is a color that I like to use all throughout the year, so I think I should be able to get good use on it either way. My goal for Sultry for February is to use it just like a couple more times than I did in January. So if I could get 3 or 4 uses in February, that would be fantastic. Next up is bronze. I didn't even touch bronze this month, but again, like glistening, that's totally fine with me. It feels more like a summer or fall color to me personally, so I will get more use on it then. I don't even have a specific goal for it this month, just if I can occasionally use it, that'll be great. And then in summer and fall, I can hit it a little bit more hard and intentionally. So I didn't touch Mulberry or Noir or Cypress Umber this month because I'm not actively panning those shades. If I use those, that's fine, but I didn't use them this month, and I'm, again, totally fine with that. So next is Dusty Rose. I've really been enjoying using this shade this month. It's one of my favorite mattes in this palette, so it's been really fun to get some use on, and I've been pairing it a lot with the Pat McGrath Divine Rose palette, which is in my 100 Uses project pan. I did use Dusty Rose 6 times this month, and my goal is to hit pan in February. I think, again, it'll be a really appropriate color to wear this month. I'm getting a little bit of a dip in there, so yeah, I think I should be able to do it without a problem, but we'll see how it goes. Next is Fairy. I feel very much the same way about Fairy as I do about bronze and glistening. I'm planning to get much more use on this in the summer and fall months, but I do have the goal to use this 5 times this month in February. Next is Burnt Orange, which is another one of my favorite mattes in this palette. It's starting to see a little bit of a dip, just like Dusty Rose. I used Burnt Orange 3 times in January, and I would like to use it 5 times in February. Sienna is a shade that I feel pretty neutrally about in this palette. It's not super exciting for me, but it's a matte and I'll use it. I used Sienna 3 times this month, and my goal is just to use it another 3 times in February. Similarly to some of the other really warm tones in this palette, I'm guessing that I will want to use it more later on in the year. During summer and fall, it will be very appropriate, so I'm hoping I can get some more use on it then. Rustic is the last shade in this palette that I am actively trying to pan this year, and I didn't touch it at all in January, but my goal is to use it at least 5 times in February. I really like the color of Rustic, so I think it should be really easy to start incorporating it in the crease and just in general in my looks this year. So that's Soft Glam, and like I mentioned, please stick around to the end of this video if you're interested in seeing more of a side-by-side close-up look at the progress on this palette throughout the past month. And now we'll move on to Norvina. In case you missed the intro video, I am planning on panning Norvina in order. Prior to this project, I hadn't touched this palette at all. It was completely brand new, and so I will be panning each shadow in order, and I can't use the rest of the palette until it has got pan on it. So I started with Dreamer this month, and here's what it was looking like at the beginning of January. And here's how the palette is looking now. So as you can see, I was able to hit pan on Dreamer pretty easily this month. I didn't use this shadow at all prior to filming the video for the Pan That Palette intro. So all of this progress was just within the past couple of weeks. I used it almost every time I did my makeup because It's a champagne color, so it fit with pretty much any sort of look that I was doing. I could find a way to use it. It is a little bit more on the warmer side of champagne versus the cooler side, but it does have some larger particles of glitter in it that have a little bit of a shift to green, I found. It's nothing too dramatic or anything that really changes the champagne hue of this shade, but it is just something kind of interesting, just adds a little bit of something something to this shade. Dreamer does have a very soft formula, so much so that it is pretty easy to pick up too much. I tend to apply shimmers with my finger, and when I did that, I would pretty much inevitably pick up too much of this shadow. And when I would apply it too heavily like that, I would get a lot of fallout, even initially, but especially throughout the day. Those little glitter particles that are really pretty and have that little bit of a shift to it, they would fall down onto my cheeks as I wore it throughout the day. I found the best way to avoid that was just to apply it with a brush and tap off the excess before applying it to my eyes. Because of all of those factors, I did move through this pretty quickly. I only used it 8 times before hitting pan and 9 times in total this month. Because it's a champagne color, it was super easy to use Dreamer this month. Now we are moving on to summer, which I have heard from several people is their favorite color in this palette, or one of their favorite shadows in this palette. So I'm very excited to get started on summer, and I'm really excited to start pairing this with some of the browns in Soft Glam, some of the warm browns in there. I'm really interested to see how they will pair together, if they will be a good match, all of that fun stuff. I'm going to go ahead and swatch summer for the first time. Okay, so I hope you can see this, but summer is a very pretty warm bronze. I'm excited to wear this, like I said, with some of the warm browns and Soft Glam, especially burnt orange and rustic. I'm interested to see what it'll look like with those. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and swatch them all together and see what they look like. Okay, so on top there is burnt orange, and then we have summer, and then rustic underneath. I think that rustic will probably work the best with summer. So yes, I'm really excited to get started on summer, and here's what the pan is looking like now. So I'm really excited to get some good use on summer this month. If only Wild Child came first, right? To try to use that around Valentine's Day would have been perfect, but this will be fun to get a little bit of some neutrals going in February and some bronzes. So I'm really excited to start using this in some looks. So that's everything. Please remember to stick around for those photos at the end of the video if you're interested in seeing a little bit of a side-by-side comparison. If you would like to follow along with the progress of these projects, my 2022 Know by Year, or the other panning projects that I have going on this year, I hope that you will subscribe. If you are doing a Pan That Palette project, I would love to hear how your project is going, or if you have a channel or an Instagram page or some other social media platform that you use to show your progress. I would love it if you would link your channel or share your handle down below so that we can all check out your progress as well. I personally love watching panning content, that's why I'm creating it. So I would love to see your progress throughout the year. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.